everyone. My name is Lindsay Cunningham, and I am going over the book Reinventing Your Life by Jeffrey Young and Janet Klosko. In the first two videos that I did, we talked about the basis of the book and how it relates to schema therapy, how our childhood affects our adulthood, and how we have to change our patterns and coping mechanisms in order to have a healthy and fulfilling life. In the book, we also talked about the 11 schemas or life traps that prevent us from having a healthy adult life that allows us to accomplish our goals and our dreams. And I would like to go over the schema or life trap of abandonment. We just briefly touched that before. This is one of the schemas that I can very much identify personally with. It's probably the most prominent schema in my life that prevents me from accomplishing the results that I want, and it's an area that is very near and dear to me, and it's also something that I'm going to have to work really hard to correct. And hopefully the information in this book that has helped me will help you too. It also may help you to relate to someone who has this schema, even if it's not yourself, if it's a loved one. Maybe it will put things in perspective why they show some of the behaviors that they do and the reasons why they treat you the way that they do or other people. And it might be a way that you can help them. So, like I mentioned in the first couple of videos, I will try not to get too personal with my experiences. However, I have no problem opening up to you and answering any questions that you may have about my life or how it directly affects me today from my childhood and how the book has helped me. Feel free to message me or ask me any questions that you may have, and I will be glad to do that. Also would like to hear some feedback from you if this material is helpful to you or if you would like to hear more about it. Also, if you want to purchase the book, and I know it's backwards on the screen, but it's Reinventing Your Life, and you can get this on Amazon for under $13, and it's really been profound to me. It's been a life-changing experience, and it's allowed me to understand and identify with people when I meet them and talk to them in the salon, because I'm a hairdresser. I'm no therapist by any means. I just love people, and I want to have a healthy and rich life myself. So moving right along to the abandonment life trap. In the book, there's Q&As, and there's also exercises, if this applies to you, that you can do to help stop repeating these patterns and behaviors that do not get you the results that you desire and cause you pain in your life. And this one, like I said, identifies very closely with me, and some of the signs that may identify with you are you become sad and angry if your significant other or someone that you're very close to has to travel for business. They're away for extended periods of time, and even though you know they're going to come back, you become very sad when they leave because they're going to come back and you know that, but the feelings overwhelm you of loss that they may not return, that this is it. You can also become angry with them because they did leave you, even though it was very legitimate, it was for business, or maybe they had a loved one or a friend that was sick that they needed to visit and they could not bring you along. But any type of separation, whether it's validated or not, Separation causes you to feel very sad, and then you feel angry because they're gone. And when they return, you are not even happy to see them. You can't get over the feelings of, first of all, they left you and made you sad. And second of all, you are pissed off that they left you. So you're just angry that they went away, and you can't overcome that to be happy and rejoice that they're back now. They had to go away on a business trip and now they're back home. You're just fuming and upset. You don't want to be around them, and you're just in a bad mood. And then oftentimes that makes your partner or your significant other think, why are they not happy? I'm back home. I know they love me. What is going on? Why this shift in moods? They didn't seem like they wanted me to go, and now I'm back and they're acting weird. Especially if your partner hasn't experienced abandonment, it's not a part of their schema, that can really affect them, your behavior, as much as the abandonment affects you. A lot of times this comes from, more often than not, you had a parent that abandoned you in some way. There's many different reasons for abandonment, not justifying them, but like we mentioned before and discussed, this is not a victim villain. This is just identifying your feelings and coming to terms with them. So your parent could have abandoned you if they were an alcoholic or they had trouble with drugs. So they very well could have been present in your life, but just because they were physically present does not mean that they were mentally or emotionally involved for you. When you needed them, they couldn't be there. So that would create a lot of abandonment issues for you. And also, like we spoke about before, it doesn't have to be a parent. It could be a caregiver. This will cause you to choose partners that are very similar to your caregivers or your parents, because they leave you waiting and wanting them for some reason, whether it's a job that they travel with or they have other responsibilities and they can't be with you as much as you want. And what I have found too, dealing with abandonment and that overwhelming feeling that the person I love is going to leave me forever, is that it's never enough. It's never enough time spent. They could spend 24/7 with me, and I may really grow annoyed with them. They may grow annoyed with me. But you have this sense that you always want them there. You don't want them out of your sight, and not that you don't trust them. But some jealousy and possessiveness can come from that, because you've never had that sense of security of they're leaving for a little bit or they're pulling away. There's a natural pulling away in the relationship, but they're going to come back and it's okay. With abandonment, you don't have that healthy response to those gentle pulls that are normal. I mean, we have to live lives even in a relationship. You have your life and they have their life, and then you come together. But it's impossible to come together 100% of the time. Maybe some people can do it. It's very rare that I see that in the very closely related couples. That would be a challenge. So that can be an issue with some of the partners that we choose or the relationships that we get into, having experienced abandonment as children. Also, it's good to look at the pattern of relationships that you've had in your life. And it's really good to look at the pattern of intimate relationships that you've had in your life. It could apply to friends and it could apply to distant family members, but usually the abandonment schemas start coming out in your very close and most intimate relationships with your boyfriend or girlfriend, your significant other, whether it's a marriage or not. So that's where you want to look at the patterns to see if you have gotten involved very quickly and very intensely. That's not always a sign that you have issues with abandonment, but usually people that have been abandoned, and there's two types of abandonment that we'll talk about a little bit later, but they have a way of really honing in on someone and charming them and just pulling them into their world and just making them fall in love. So they capture their attention and they pull every emotion, and they know how to do that very quickly. But the problem is when that happens, they're missing a few steps along the way, like getting to know the person. Instead of creating chemistry in this dramatic approach to attraction, there should be a natural flow of getting to know you, you're getting to know me, there is an attraction there, but it doesn't go 0 to 100. It's slowly but surely, one foot in front of the other, 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, you get the idea. So a lot of times, people that move very quickly into relationships that also have abandonment issues, their relationships, the pattern time and time again with their most intimate partners are going to be turbulent. It's not going to be a steady flow, a boat that rocks on the waves and it's soothing and calm. It's going to be more like a roller coaster with highs and lows and your belly. It's a wonderful time, but it can be really exhausting too, especially if the other person, they've never experienced anything like this and they're pulled in from the beginning. This person comes on real strong and real charming, and then they crash down because they're getting angry because I left, and then they're sad because I left, and then it's up and down and up and down and up and down. So you see how this can be very confusing when one of the partners suffers from the abandonment schema and the other one does not. They could feel like their partner's neurotic. They sense this deep attraction and this longing for them because they came on so strong in the beginning, but they don't understand the highs, the lows, the ups, and the downs. So that is also a sign that you suffer from abandonment if you have a pattern of those types of relationships. In the beginning, for someone who has abandonment issues, they can feel very frightened in the beginning, like, I like this person, but I don't know if they're going to leave me, but I'm really attracted to them, they're attracted to me, and it's frightening. But it is also very alluring and intriguing, and they just get swept away in the romance. It's like a romance novel, and it's dramatic. And it can be fun, but just as good as it is, it can also be very bad, and you can have those lows. It can be too much too soon. that would be another sign for me, and something that I have to be very careful and look for when I'm starting to relate to another person, because I do have the abandonment schema, and it's one of my biggest issues in life is that I have to slow down and go at a steady pace. For me, it may feel like snail slow, but to a healthy person who doesn't or has not experienced that, it may feel normal and just calm and relaxed. But when I'm used to going 100 miles an hour head first into a relationship, and I have to take it on back a little bit and switch gears and slow it on down, I can imagine that would feel very foreign and maybe even a little bit uncomfortable. But it's necessary, and it's important to be alarmed of the red flags and the bells and the whistles whenever the chemistry is so high. When the sexual chemistry is off the charts right off the bat, that's a sign that I probably should stay away from this person. I'm super attracted to them. They turn me on, and it's wow, amazing. It's not healthy. You have to have a healthy sense of attraction, but it shouldn't be all in the chemistry. Because if we're taking the time to get to know someone, if the chemistry is off the charts, then we still have to dial it down a little bit and take the time to get to know them to get to know you. That's the only way you can build trust and be certain that this person is going to be there for you. You can't miss those steps along the way. 2, for someone that is healthy, for those of us that have been abandoned and we come on so strong, we're like, I got you. It can be charming and very alluring, but it can also be scary, like, now what? Now what do I do? They've got me by the short hairs. So now what do I do? They're like suffocating me. They're like ball python, just wrapping around, and they're squeezing the life out of me. It can be scary, especially if they're used to going at a nice, easy pace and easy flow, and they have somebody that's just, latched on. So that's something to be cautious of. And if you've had those patterns, just moving forward, try to be aware of that and not repeat that over and over again, because that's something that you want to change and you want to be better about. We find ourselves too wanting to spend all of our time with our significant other every moment that we can. And it's normal to want to spend time with the people that you love, especially the person that you have the most intimate relationship with. But it's not normal to feel threatened when they pull away a little bit. They want to come up for air and go play golf, or they want to go visit their girlfriends for an evening out for a couple of hours, or go to see their family without you occasionally. It's okay. It's fine. People do that. And when our significant other pulls away naturally in a healthy way, if we feel that sick feeling in our stomach, like, oh, they're leaving and they don't want to be around me, and you get that hot feeling in your face and you're starting to have anxiety, then that's also a sign that this is not good. something from my past, from my childhood is flaring up. And maybe I need to sit down and reevaluate my feelings. Now, I'm not talking about relationships where your significant other has cheated on you and you feel like they're showing patterns of behavior where they could be doing that again, or they're being careless and reckless with drugs or alcohol. They've done that before and you think they could be doing that again. Those are definitely things that you need to be aware of too. And if you've got those issues, it's absolutely good to talk to a friend or a loved one that can understand your situation and either say, you know, you really do have a reason to be concerned, or if it's just they're leaving for 2 hours but then they're coming back and they do this often. They go play golf for an afternoon and they come back and that's all it is, then that would be a signal that it's probably just your childhood schemas that are rearing their ugly head and trying to take you down to a dark place that you don't need to be. And we're going to work on that. We're going to be able to soothe ourselves, because that's the thing with abandonment. If you were abandoned, you didn't have a caregiver for whatever reason that could calm you and soothe you and let you know it's okay. And so you have to be that for yourself as an adult. You have to reparent yourself and know that this slight separation, it's okay. It's actually a healthy thing. It's very good that it's happening and you'll learn to grow. Maybe you could start by, they go to the grocery store for an hour without you. It seems so trivial, but for some people that can really be devastating. If you go to the grocery, they need to go to the grocery. And then maybe it could be they go out with their friends or visit their family without you for 2 to 3 hours. And then maybe you could work up to a day where you have a day to yourself and they have a day to their self. So it's small steps. It's not all at once. This comes with time and it comes with practice, and it's something that I'm working on too right now. So you're not weird if you're going through that. It's just work in progress. Another sign that you could be struggling from the abandonment schema is if you move from relationship to relationship. For example, you're in a relationship with someone and for whatever reason it goes south and you break up. You're back to another relationship with a different person. You've already replaced the person that you were in a relationship with previously. And usually there's not even a month's time between the relationship. So you break up and within a month you're with somebody else. And if that breaks up, then a month you're with somebody else. Or it could be the next day or the next week. But usually people that have been abandoned and they are very charming and very alluring, they know how to bring people into them, they have no problem finding someone else. Now that will come in with the dependence abandonment. We're going to talk about the two kinds in just a little bit, but just to touch on that, that's going to be a reoccurring issue in your life. Relationship to relationship without many breaks. Move on, move on, move on. No grass under your feet. So something to think about there. What you will experience as far as feelings go, you can expect to be abandoned forever. There's no end in sight to you being alone. And you really feel like it is your destiny to be alone. no matter what, no matter how good a relationship is going or how good it has been, there's going to come a point in time where it's going to end and they're going to be done with you. And that's a constant state of fear and anxiety, because the deep root of those that have been abandoned is they deeply want to be loved and they want to be cherished and adored, but they feel like it's something they can't achieve no matter what. And that's really deep, and it's very sad, and it can be very lonely too. This life trap in particular usually begins very early on in childhood, in infancy specifically. Usually it happens before the child is able to speak. So they can't, or you can't verbally express your feelings or what you need. And that's why the wounds are so deep. The younger the child, the more vulnerable.